But we've also, this is the one that really, when I was watching it going, kind of my eyes lit up going, okay, this is clearly where they want to go for season 2025 and onwards. He said, but we've also got, but, so he starts with a but. That's when you know he's talking how he's up, but also knowing that he's probably out of the door because of these players that he touches on. So, but we've also got some players in our front half coming back. You got Silvani coming back from the ACL. More games into Moya. We've got a lot of faith in Jesse Motlop and Corey Durden and those types of guys. So, and he also didn't rule out the draft either. So he's keeping the options high, and we've also got the options already there at the club. So, what's your thoughts? Because I think that was almost the biggest thing I took away from his chat with Cal Toomey.
Yeah, I'm so intrigued. I love trade period. I love it. And it's almost not for the like this is almost for a bad reason because we don't want to see Matt always go. But it's for I want to hear people within the club exactly how we see our forward structure.
Mm.
They answer it exactly how we want it. And I'm like, yes. I feel like if Matt always wasn't out of contract, we wouldn't even be having these conversations right now because he probably would still be in that best 22. He probably would still be in the forward line. He probably still would kick 30 plus goals next year.
Mm.
But we found something in Moya.
Yeah.
Jesse Motlop provided something. Corey Dern provided something in that West Coast game.
Mm.
And we were like, all right. I
Mm.
like the way that we played then. Um, yeah, I'm just intrigued. I'm so intrigued to see how this is all going to go. And it's extremely unlucky on Matt Owies, and I'm sure you're the exact same. I love the way that Matt Owies plays, and I think he's so unlucky to not be given a contract for next year right now from the club. But what astounds me also, he hasn't had any other suitors, uh,
Yeah.
like official ones. I mean, there's been clubs that have asked the question,
Yeah.
but there hasn't been any actual suitors to get the trade done. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. For me, I think it's weird because when he first did it, there were so many clubs, and I
Yeah.
think there will be clubs, but once again, like you said, there's list spots, not just only for us, because obviously we have we've got our Carlton glasses on, and the people listening to this episode have got their Carlton glasses on, and we're focused on who's coming into Carlton, who's coming out. We don't really give a shit what other teams do. We obviously keep an eye on it, but they've got tight list spots too.
Yeah.
So that's the matter of like, can they afford to bring an Owies in? Can they, you know what I mean? So a lot of teams will be going, maybe we do delist him to bring an Owies in or whatever. Those are big decisions at a club, getting rid of players. I think that's the hardest part. Which players do you get rid of?
Mm.
Because I also think we're not done with delistings either. I think with Sam Durden, I think if Lewis Young stays, he could be out the door. I think Sam Durden could be out the door because I've looked at list spots and it's tight. It's
Yeah.
so tight. So I think it's either Lewis Young or Sam Durden. I know we're going back to that Lewis Young conversation, but if Young stays, we just brought Haynes in too. I don't know if we have another spot for Durden. Is he going to play much, Pato? He's that depth, but now you got Haynes and now you got Kemp kind of in that. Is he a lock next year? Probably not. Who knows? But yeah, it's just all about list spots for Owies, and I hope he finds somewhere, and I hope he finds somewhere where he plays consistent footy because I think a lot of clubs would be perfect where he can be the fourth forward. He can play that role he plays. You know what I mean? Get those cheap goals playing for a good team. Get those easy goals. Be clinical in front of goals, which he is, and he's also got the passion. So I think someone will put their hand up. If there's people putting their hand up for random, VFL players, I'm sure a guy who's proved it at AFL level deserves to be on a list.
Yeah, I think with Owies, it's it's not about the way that he plays his football. It is down to like he's obviously an established small forward in the AFL competition, but it's just down to he doesn't suit our with how we see Carlton moving forward and our game plan if we were coaches, we just don't have him in our forward 50. And I just don't think he is going to take us to that next level towards a premiership. And it's no disrespect to Owies.
No.
It is all down to, I think it's more, if anything, I think Owies would be a little bit mad at Moya with what he showed. And just that period then when we had like a tools and we kind of knew that's what we have to go with. We have that X factor with Aston Moyer. But I guess the question is, and with Kempy, I think Kempy's pretty much locked in to go back to being that key defender, which I like. I know that when he did kick those 4 goals against West Coast, I was quite keen to explore that as a forward. But I think with Jack Savani coming back, Harry Lemmy developing again, I just don't think there is a spot there for Brody Kemp to have a consistent game. If there is, I don't think he's in my best 22 right now. But who knows? But the question about Sam Durden and Lewis Young, and I think the only reason why Sam Durden will get to stay on the list over Lewis Young, it's the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. Let me just go through some names. And I know I've mentioned it on one of the episodes, and I don't know what episode it was, but we went through the out of contract players next year.
Yeah.
And it's astounding. Adam Chera, Adam Sard, Alex Gincona, Billy Wilson, Brody Kemp, Cooper Lord, George Hewitt, Harry Lemmy, Jack Silvani, Jacob Wiedering, Jesse Motlop, Matthew Kennedy, Mitch McGovern, Nick Newman, Arazio Fantasia, Sam Doherty, Tom DeConning. So massive names. And even Sam Doherty, it probably is his last year next year because of that. You need to make some way in the cap to sign these players. Sorry, Doc, we're not giving you a contract next year. And you look at Matt Kennedy, maybe we maybe we push you out the door. It doesn't matter if you won't get any midfield time at the other club. I don't think we can sign you. Lewis Young's in the same vote.
Yeah.
I know he's just in the same boat as well. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, yeah, it's just there's a few players there that like you need to sign Tom. You can't let it get to June next year and Tom DeConning still isn't signed because Geelong will go straight to him.
Yeah.
We are keen to get Tom DeConning through the door. His brother will get in his ear. But if you get this done soon, just get it done. That's all I ask for. So those are the names there, and it's quite confronting. But do you think that's a reason as to why they could keep Sam Durden on the list, or do you think we can find a way to potentially get Dan Houston in and keep Lewis Young, keep Matt Kennedy? I think Matt Ellis is pretty much all but pushed out of the door. But those two names, do you think there's any chance that we can get Dan Houston in and keep Lewis Young and Matt Kennedy as well?
Yeah, it's when you say it like that, I don't know if we do.
I don't think we can.
That's when I think about it. I think I might have said on the first episode, I think it'll be 2 out of the 3 of those players gone in terms of Owies, Kennedy, and Young. I think one of them will stay, and my hope is that it's Kennedy because I think we actually need him. I actually think we need him in terms of. I really think he plays that half forward roles in the mid really well. So, and that adds to a little bit of depth in those two positions too. So if you go down in the midfield, he goes straight in there. You can play half forward. He's a good, really, really good player, but it's more about the list spots and the money, like you said. So I'd love to know the cap. I'd love to know because if in an ideal world, we'd rather have Lewis Young over Sam Durden because I don't rate Sam Durden that highly. Let's be real. I don't think he's played that well. He's played 2 games at AFL level. He's had some this year. He was a bit kind of out of the side because he had a suspension early, and then he was injured and in the twos, and then he came back in injured against North in that game that we just won. But yeah, it's I really don't know. But clearly the way they're talking, they want to get those 3 guys out. Maybe not Kennedy to an extent. They don't want him out, but they wouldn't be against him going. So, it's going to be a massive development. I think these will go. I think Young and Kennedy will go down to the wire. Oh, I think that'll go down to the last few days, and that'll be good content for our further trade talk videos, Pato.
Spot on. One more thing about this. And it's so about Matt Kennedy and Lewis Young. Do you think in your mind right now, do you think it's money or do you think it's more the draft and what we can do? Because we know that Tassie's coming in 2026. We know that they will get a hell of a lot of picks in that first round. Do you think they're trying their best to get as many draft picks in the next few years right here, right now to make sure that when Tassie come into the competition, which is what back in 2011 to 2012 when Gold Coast and Giants came into the competition. The best teams that managed that was Geelong, Sydney, and Hawthorn. And what happened? They ended up winning the premierships for the next few years.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm looking at it. I understand. I think it's more to do with the money, but from a draft sense as well, if we can just get some way to get these players in, and obviously Cody Walker is a very high chance of coming to the club next year. So that's great, but it's to get a few players in. We can develop a young key defender.
Yeah.
If Lewis Young makes way.
Mm.
And you said it as well. There's not a lot of spots now on the list.
No.
So I'm just a little bit intrigued by that. But but in your mind, do you think it's more money and us not being able to sign these players next year, or the draft and we need to try and do something now to make sure that we are set for 5-10 years time?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. Clearly, they want to get into the draft, but like I said to you before we filmed, I know we want to add these layers of draftees and get them through the door.
Yeah.
But fuck me. Where are we actually at here? They're trying to do it's like a Geelong. You get some young guys in, but you also top up. It's like, it doesn't always work. And we need to get to this flag. I know we're not, I don't want to go all out and just ruin every year for the next 20. Well, if you told me to win the flag next year and they'll ruin the next 20, I'd probably, sign the on the thing. Probably not, But are we committing to this to push for the top four? I think we are, but then it's like, then you're a bit timid to bring in Houston. So we have the talent. We have the talent. I think what is clouding a lot of our judgment is that back end of the season. But I think the back end of the season had a lot to do with our availability. We did not have a fucking consistent team on the ground. And what happens when we did? We smashed every fucking team out of the park, including 2 prelim finalists.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Mm.